John's University, serves as track announcer at Fairgrounds Racecourse and Slots, as well as at Arlington Park Racecourse. He's in his 11th year in that capacity at Fairgrounds, and it's a very skilled trade. He does a terrific job. He's been at Arlington Park for 15 years. Of course, Fairgrounds will open its 144th season this coming Thursday, the 19th. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to John G. Dooley of Fairgrounds.
Thank Ken, and I feel a bit like a backup quarterback since our president of the Fairgrounds, Tim Bryant, couldn't make it here today, so he sends his regards to the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club. As Ken noted, this will be our 144th thoroughbred season at the Fairgrounds, and it all starts off this Thursday in Gentilly with our 81-day race meet that'll include 50 stakes races with a combined purses of over $6.1 million, headlined by the $1 million Grade 2 Louisiana Derby. It's run on our closing weekend, March 26th. As Ken mentioned, this is going to be my 11th season as the voice of the Fairgrounds Racecourse and Slots. And just a little bit about my background and what brought me here to the great city of New Orleans. This year, the Super Bowl turns 50, and so do I on December 21st. So I hope I can bring the Saints some luck for Monday Night Football. But of those 50 years of life, 30 have been spent in horse racing. So 3 decades dedicated to thoroughbred racing. And it all started off for me at the Meadowlands. So did grow up as a Giants fan, have to admit that. But growing up, I had a love of all sports. So not only baseball, football, soccer, but took an interest in broadcasting. Actually started off working for a minor league hockey team in the Newark, New Jersey area called the New York Slapshots. I was involved with the Esposito family, thought it was going to be a good thing. Of course, until I had to go to Newark Airport and pick up players at around midnight coming in off of Air Canada. So not the greatest time working as a statistician for them, but at the same time took an interest in the horse racing broadcasting. So went to the Meadowlands back in 1985-86 as an intern. And obviously 30 years later involved in horse racing. That's taken me a long way. I graduated St. John's University in 1987. So that was right at the height of the Lou Carnesecca sweater era. So at the time, Chris Mullen, being a basketball player, of course now coach of the 2-0 Red Storm. Just wanted to add that as a St. John's graduate, of course, at the time, St. John's Redmond, now currently the Red Storm. But from there, I've never stopped in horse racing. So I always like to tell young people, it's never too early to find your career path. Starting off as an intern at the Meadowlands in 85-86, 30 years on, still working in a sport I love and love to promote, horse racing, and ultimately promote the city of New Orleans at events and the racecourse at events such as this. But from 1986, my graduation in 87, wound up working for the New York Racing Association, or of course just recently American Pharoah, won the Triple Crown, but during my tenure there, I had no such luck to see any horse of American Pharoah's caliber, but worked for the New York Racing Association, not as an announcer, but actually as a track statistician, worked in the publicity department, but during that period of time, would go up into a very cold roof area and practice race calls into a tape recorder and do that over and over again. And somehow practice made semi-perfect at the time, so had to cut my teeth. So I went to a track named Thistledown in Cleveland, Ohio for my first full-time announcer gig. That was in 1991 as the announcer at Thistledown, but yet never became a Browns fan. So I'm happy to report that to the quarterback club here. But eventually worked my way back to New York where my family was from, worked with Tom Durkin, with, if you know anything about horse racing, a longtime voice of the Breeders' Cup. And he served as a bit of a mentor, worked under him, but at the same time, wanted to sprout my wings. So I went down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area and opened up a new racetrack there called Lone Star Park. It was very exciting, 30,000 fans a night. So maybe if you know anything about horse racing, it's been a struggle in recent years. The times of Seattle's Slew and Spectacular Bid and Affirmed, getting those big crowds, have long since dissipated for horse racing. So the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex seemed ripe to try to reinvent horse racing with music, live racing, a lot of drink specials, and it succeeded. So 30,000 plus fans. It was wonderful to be a part of that. But Ken also mentioned I've been the 15-year voice of Arlington International Racecourse, and that came calling in the year 2000. So I resigned my post at Lone Star and went to Arlington, where I've called every Arlington Million since my first one in the year 2000. And this past summer, a horse by the name of the Pizza Man wound up winning the Arlington Million, which is Lenny can testify, since I spent so much time at Venetia's here in Mid-City, only fitting that I would call a horse named the Pizza Man, winning our marquee race of the Chicago racing season. Getting back to what brought me here to the fairgrounds, Churchill Downs. After working at Arlington since the year 2000, Churchill Downs purchased the fairgrounds. They made their commitment to the city of New Orleans back in the year 2004. And when that opportunity arose, I jumped at the chance to come here as the track announcer, and not only to call the races. In the past, a longtime voice of the fairgrounds had been Tony Bentley, mentioning this year the 144th thoroughbred season. Not true that Tony has seen each and every one of those seasons, but in fact this is my 11th season here. But to be not only part of the racetrack community, but a part of New Orleans and part of the Mid-City. I live here in the area, and it's great to not only represent the fairgrounds in a horse racing announcer capacity, but when I leave here at the end of March to represent the city and talk about how much I love New Orleans as well. Mentioning that it's our 144th thoroughbred season at the fairgrounds, and we're starting full of optimism. We open up on Thursday, and last year we saw a lot of improvements made, not only to the back of the track, the backstretch, also the dorms, where a lot of hardworking people spend their days during the winter here caring for the horses. We also made a lot of improvements to our turf course, which when it comes to, we have one of the best dirt tracks in the nation here at the fairgrounds. A lot of compliments about it. It's a very kind track to the horses, a very good safety record with regard to our main track. The turf course in the past few seasons, we've had issues. Of course, we know, even given our forecast for tonight into tomorrow, we get rainy weather here in New Orleans. Well, that affects our turf racing. Kind of joked with Ken and Lenny earlier that maybe we should put a dome over the fairgrounds. We'd be firm every racing day, but that's not being the case. When we get a lot of wet weather, we have races coming off the turf. How does that affect our business? Well, when races come off the turf, fans around the country, for whatever reason, they just don't like playing our races. So it's been a bit of a challenge for management to try to attract more fans to our racing signal, like any given football team, any sports franchise. There's a lot of other offerings. We know when it comes to the fairgrounds racing signal, we impart our signal all around the world, that the fans have other choices. We of course want them to watch and wager on our fairgrounds product. For so many years they did, then there was a bit of a let-off. But in the recent years, with the improvements to the turf course, we've had fuller fields, handicappers, fans that like to wager on our races have been wagering more and more on the fairgrounds, so we're very optimistic about that going forward. Another popular thing that we instituted at the fairgrounds in the last few seasons has been our Friday night racing. It's called Starlight Racing. It'll start off this week. Friday night post time, 5 o'clock. So you combine racing under the Friday night lights with live music, give the fans drink specials, and that has been an absolute touchdown for us at the fairgrounds. We look forward to continuing that. We'll have about one Starlight Racing program during our 5-month season here. So in total 5 of them beginning this Friday through our final month of the season in March. We're also happy to get back to the community at large. From opening day this Thursday until the end of November, we'll be having our second harvest food drive at the fairgrounds and all of our off-track locations. So we're hoping our fans will be in a charitable mood for those in need during the entire holiday season. Again, that's the second harvest food drive, starts with opening day on this Thursday. We'll also be partnering with the Hotel Monteleone for the Louisiana Derby kickoff day. That's in January, with several stakes races. including the start of our 3-year-old series. It's very popular down here with the Lecomte Stakes. It was won last year by a horse by the name of International Star, who was being pointed to the Kentucky Derby. We were excited about International Star. So was his owners, Ken and Sarah Ramsey. His trainer, Mike Maker, had never won a Kentucky Derby. He was high on this horse, got injured. So was horse racing, so we'll never know if International Star would have ever beat the great American Pharaoh. Hotel Monteleone, sponsor of ours, also Veterans Ford, will partner up for Louisiana Derby Preview Day, that on February 20th, with 6 stakes races and purses of nearly $1 million on that day, including one of my favorite races of the New Orleans racing calendar. It's the Risen Star Stakes. If you know maybe one horse you've heard of here in New Orleans, Risen Star, probably that horse, named for the former Louisiana Derby, Preakness, and Belmont Stakes winner, trained by Louis Roussel III. His family, one-time owners of the fairgrounds, and Veterans Ford sponsors that day. Louis trained the great Risen Star for one Ronnie Lamarck. The big day of the New Orleans racing calendar, Louisiana Derby Day, on March 26th, 8 stakes races, purses of over $2.3 million. And again, we'll be hoping this year's Louisiana Derby winner goes on to represent the fairgrounds in the Triple Crown races, as Risen Star so proudly did back in 1988. A lot of people ask me about the jockeys. Well, we have a full jockey colony this year with veteran riders like Robbie Alvarado. There's Kerwin Boo Boo Clark, and Sean Bridge Mahan. He's a past champion of the Louisiana Derby. He'll be coming back. Our top owner, Maggie Moss, and also trainers from seasons pastly returning, like Fairgrounds Hall of Famer Al Stahl Jr., Tom Amos, and Louis Roussel III. So thanks to American Pharaoh Racing, the country has seen more fans wanting to come to the races to see their local stars. American Pharaoh was the first Triple Crown winner since affirmed back in 1978, so it had been a very long drought until we recently saw the Triple Crown. American Pharaoh also won the Breeders' Cup Classic, that was on NBC Sports. So we're also hoping that the next future racing superstar will be right down the road here at the fairgrounds. So hope all of you will have a chance to come out to the races this season and be a part of a true New Orleans tradition, that being racing at the fairgrounds. So my thanks to the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club for having me here today.
Yeah, did you make a mistake? Is it this Thursday and Friday? Or
This Thursday, yeah.
It was usually Thanksgiving?
It had been Thanksgiving, and then in the last couple of seasons, we opened up with Starlight Racing on Friday. But our president decided, let's start a little earlier, work out some of the kinks, think of it maybe as a little preseason game. So this Thursday, 9 races, 125 post time. Yes.
I actually grew up in Hot Springs, Arkansas, which you
Great.
already know is where Oaklawn racetrack
Yes.
is. And so I've always enjoyed going out to the fairgrounds here in New Orleans. American Pharaoh was an amazing run to get the Triple Crown in so many years. But back in the 70s, they had 3 in a row. Do you think that's going to spur on another 3 in a row?
I hope so. You know, people have been talking about American Pharaoh, but again, with this December being my 50th birthday, I've actually seen 4 Triple Crown winners in my lifetime. Now, of course, I was a little too young. I was also watching a lot of other sports at the time and not gambling on horse racing while in diapers. Might have wanted to practice calling the races, but with that said, I hope so. But American Pharaoh was just one of those, you know, horses that comes around perhaps once in a lifetime. But did they say that with a Slew? Did they say that with a Ferdinand? This is a once in a lifetime horse. With Secretariat, I think Secretariat, big heart certainly was. So I don't think we'll ever see another Secretariat, another American Pharaoh. Maybe. Hopefully this season at the fairgrounds.
Here we go. Anyone else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John, again.